to the B Major Forgotten Coast Real Estate Show. I have Mr. Jordan Todd with us today. Thanks for joining me today.
My pleasure.
Yeah, I'm excited to bring you on for a couple of reasons. You're probably one of the people that I've known the longest since we've been here. And I feel like you have so much local insight and so much knowledge that you're kind of my local go-to for a lot of questions.
That works.
If I have any outdoor questions, what would Jordan say? So, while everyone's watching, can you tell them a little bit about your background, who you are, anything you'd like to share?
So I'm a fifth generation resident in this area. My ancestors originally settled Apalachicola in like the 1820s.
Wow.
And families lived over there. And then my grandfather became the president of the paper mill here in Port St. Joe, moved my mom and all them over here. And then basically we stayed over here in St. Joe. So I was born and raised here in St. Joe, more so out at Indian Pass. Out there, and grew up, being outside on the water every day, basically living off the water, and just fell in love with it and knew that's what I was going to make my life all about, was anything and everything about saltwater. So went to high school here, played sports, moved away for like 4 or 5 years while I was in college, went to Stetson University in Central Florida. Played baseball there for a little while, got a aquatic and marine biology degree from there, and then moved back. And the day I moved back is when I started my saltwater guiding career.
I love it. I love that you do a guide because, I've been on other guides, a couple other ones, just you didn't hear that. But it's really cool because there's also that really great, like, this is what I fished as a kid kind of an experience. And I love that you have that this is how I grew up. And not just that, but like, I think we've had conversations. You said something like, I remember when the Cape only had this, like, a few homes, or, it wasn't what it is now. And it's just really cool to talk to somebody who's lived here. We love this place and we don't want to ever take it for granted, but I didn't grow up here. And so it's kind of cool to experience that with someone.
Yeah, it was, so like my family lived here when there was nothing, basically, and there was, the only jobs there was a mill, the seafood industries, and that was about it, mom and pop shops, stuff like that. I kind of got, in my short life so far, I've kind of seen it change from a mill town where everyone and everyone's job, every family revolves around the mill. Mm-hmm. Even the restaurants and all the shops, they all made their money from the mill, all the workers from the mill and everything. So I remember the day the mill shut down. I remember the day they demolished it. And then kind of a recession in this town. It was a ghost town. There was nothing going on. And that's when everyone kind of realized, what do we have to offer? Real estate, water, let's try to
beauty.
Get here. Yeah, beauty. And I've seen it change, a lot for the better and some for the worse, as far as just overcrowding. Too many people are moving, and I see why. It's hard to tell people not to come here because it's still beautiful.
Amazing. It is.
But I can remember, I'll be 35 in October, but I can remember walking down the sand dunes, when there was no houses, and hunting and shooting doves and quail and turkeys and, doing that kind of, and then fishing the beach and not seeing a soul.
Yeah.
And then now you drive the beach and there's hundreds of people all up and down the beach, and there's nothing wrong with that, but in my short life, I've seen kind of how this town went from one thing to the next in the transition. Yeah. And it's been neat. It's been neat to watch.
I still love that the community in itself, even though it has become more touristy, is still a little bit has that small town feel. Like they're working hard to keep it small but yet attractive. So
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I can still go, I can go 6 months during the busy season without going downtown, and I can go down and have a drink or go to a restaurant and see all the familiar faces and talk about the same old things, from 20 years ago. And, it still does have the small town feel.
For sure. which is what I fell in love with particularly.
Yeah.
So
Oh yeah.
I come from a very small town, and when we visited here, I loved it. It still felt that way to me, and it still does today. So that's
Oh yeah.
exciting.
I don't think it'll, if ever lose it, it would have to be many, many years from now before it
Yeah,
loses that feel.
yeah, yeah. Later generations.
Yeah. Hopefully I'm gone.
Yeah. Well, so Saltwater Obsessions is your charter. That's your business. So tell us a little bit of how that got started and how did you, I mean, Saltwater Obsession, I guess is kind of I guess we know how you got the name, but is there any story behind that?
Well, growing up at Indian Pass, it was, you woke up, you went on the water, whether it was throwing a net for mullet, picking up crabs, oysters, throwing a net for shrimp, catching fish. That's what we did all day. If it was bad weather, then we didn't have TV out there, so we played cards or we read or we, fixed something, built something, whatever. So and my mother had a marine biology degree, so everything was a lesson. Every time we went out and did something on the water, she taught me, like, this is what this is. This is how these things work together. And it just intrigued me. And I fell in love with every aspect of the saltwater. Like, I mean, everything that evolves around it, from the grass, the birds, the little fish, the crabs, everything, how everything's intertwined and how everything works together. And so I just spent as much time as I could as a kid in it, and watching TV shows. That's when, like, when I was young, when we finally got TV, that's when, like, fishing shows,
Yeah.
saltwater fishing TV shows were really becoming popular. And I would watch those and, like, I can fish better than those guys. I know more about that than those guys. I can do this. That's what I want to do.
Yeah.
And just something I always wanted to do. Maybe not be a guide, but work in the fishing industry somehow. And I wanted to give guiding a chance. I actually was going to start right out of high school, but I promised my mom and grandmother I'd go to college and get a degree. So as soon as I came back, graduated, moved back, I had a 5-year plan. If guiding doesn't work out, then I'll do something else. And picking the name was that was a challenge. I didn't want to be like Redfish Charters, or, I didn't want to just focus on one thing, because I loved every aspect of it. So Saltwater Obsessions, I'm obsessed with everything about saltwater,
Yeah.
and so that's where the name came from. And I'm in my 11th year now as a full-time guide, and busy as ever, have everything I've ever wanted. So it's been a fun ride so far.
Yeah. I've enjoyed our fishing trips that we've had. We've been on the boat, 3-4 times together. So
yeah, it's
a
in
few
the
times.
first year, the first years we knew each other, you and Casey came fishing at least once
Yeah.
a year.
I was like,
And,
but we didn't know. I mean, I grew up in Kansas. He grew up everywhere. He's a military child. So, but we don't know, like, what to do, where to go, but we wanted to experience it. And I think that that's so common for people who are visiting here or whatever. Like, we had no idea, but we certainly wanted to give it a shot. I mean, we did freshwater fishing. Like, if you want to talk to me about the best ponds and places to catch some bass in Kansas, like, we can probably have that conversation. But
yeah. And that's where a lot of my clients come from, is people moving into town and they don't know the waters. They want to learn how to navigate. And to be honest, that's probably the best thing to do, is book a local guide who can show you where to safely navigate,
Yeah.
and kind of how to protect our area while learning it, where to run, and especially in our bay with the grass flats, where to run, when to, trim your motors up so you don't chop up all the grass, and know your tides to where you can make it into an area and you're not going to mess the grass up, stuff like that. And that's very smart to book one of us when you're first, either visiting or moving here, and kind of learn where to go safely without damaging anything. And also, when fishing on the conservation side, when to throw fish back, when not to throw. Don't keep the big giant fish that are full of eggs. Yeah, know when fish are spawning, maybe, and throw the big ones back, so you can continue to catch fish for generations, and just stuff like that. And that's, most of us, I'm not going to say all of us guides, preach that. you know, as a conservation tool to the new locals or the new people moving in.
Yeah.
And so it's a very good tool to use, you know, whether you book us once or twice, but we can at least teach you something.
Yeah. Well, and that's where, I mean, we learned a lot, and, you know, just learning about the grass beds and, you know, just how it affects the ecosystem in general, and even the scallops, the whole shebang, like every little aspect affects the next. And so it's very important to keep it all amazing.
It's all connected, and it all starts with water quality. You know, if you buy a house right on the bay, you know, and you got a big, beautiful lawn, maybe not cover it with fertilizer, because when it rains, that's all going to wash into the bay, and that's going to cause problems, you know, nutrients in our bay, and that can kill grass and other things like that. So, you know, just because you're moving to a beautiful area, you know, learn the things to do to keep it beautiful. And why you moved here. You know, let's all try to keep it as pretty as I know it and have known it my whole life. And it'll, you know, hopefully stay beautiful forever.
Yeah, she's stunning right now. I'll tell you what, that water is.
She is pretty. This time of year, springtime is my favorite. We haven't had a ton of rain and runoff, so the water's crystal clear. It is. The last week alone has been very, very fun.
Yeah, it's beautiful. So because everyone, if you know Jordan, you know that he has a sidekick. I believe one of either the first or the second time that we fished together was Murphy's first birthday, which was August 7th. Weird things in my head.
I forget it half the time.
And I mean, I see you in like blue water, and here comes Murph, and so I mean, there he is. This is Murph's dog.
He never leaves my side.
I love it.
When I'm home.
And he's the coolest experience. Or I mean, we've had him on him because it wasn't too hot and it was just us, and, you know, not too much. But I love his reaction when there's a fish on, and he is like right there. He's the best cheerleader on. I just love it. He loves
it more than I do. I mean, the day I got him, he was on a boat with me, and I have clients to this day that will not fish unless Murphy's on the boat with us. Yeah,
I feel that.
They only book like springtime, early spring, or fall or winter when it's cool out. So Murphy's comfortable and they can go. They won't do it in the summer because they know I won't bring him in the summer when it's too hot.
So it gets too hot. And if you go and like, I think it's like so when the black flies come out and they really want to bother the dogs, that's rough on them too. So
yeah, that can be. But yeah, he loves being on the boat.
He's great. He's fantastic. I love him so much. So if you were to describe and have your most perfect day in our area, what would that look like for you? Like take the business side, like probably not, you know, chartering, but maybe that is a perfect day for you. What does your most perfect day look like in our area?
Well, a perfect day is I'm up at 4:30 in the morning, got the boat hooked up. I'm on the water before daylight, watching the sunrise. It's 75 degrees in the morning, cool, light wind, sun's up, no clouds. And I don't know, no clouds, sunshine all day long, no wind. And I can be on the water from daylight to dark, you know. I don't have to catch anything, but you give me sunshine, no clouds, light wind all day long, and I am happy as can be.
I love it.
Yeah. I can have a lot of fun in those conditions. That's my
I love it. So last question, if somebody wanted to talk to you, book a charter, get a hold of you, what is their best avenue to do so? And I will drop it into the show notes too.
Well, the best way, my favorite, is a phone call. Is call my cell phone. You have my number. You can post that.
I'll drop it in there.
But yeah, I like to talk to my clients, kind of gauge their level of expertise, you know, whether they're beginners, first timers, novice, you know, experts, kind of what they want to target, you know, whether it be trout, redfish, triple tail tarpon, or a snapper trip or whatever. And then, you know, how many people, stuff like that. Cause I want to know what to be ready for the next day.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'll do anything from fly fishing to throwing artificial baits to live bait. So if I have good fishermen, more artificial. If I have beginners, I know I need to catch live bait in the morning.
Right.
So give me a call. I love to talk and kind of gauge, who you are, what you want. Also, I can set. It's easier to talk about dates and what I have available. But you can also look me up on any social media, Facebook or Instagram at Saltwater Obsessions, and give me a message on there, and I'll answer back.
Okay. And again, I'll put all that in the notes here so people can reference it. But
Awesome.
Anything else you'd like to add?
Protect our waters. If you come to visit or move here, just respect it like it's your own. Treat it like it's your own house, because people are making a living off of it.
Amen.
And let's try our best to keep it beautiful.
Yep, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. Hang on here, and we'll sign off for now. Enjoy your Friday, kids.